Welcome on in, everybody, to Dakota's Fantasy Sports Cove. I got a special guest today as we go over our Week 3 recaps of the Sunday's games and our forward matchups for the games tonight. Got my best buddy on here, my brother, my video game comrade. We have Gio, the podcaster. How you doing, Gio?
Hey, I'm doing great, Dakota. I appreciate you having me on today to talk not only birds, but talk about this crazy football weekend that we had.
It was a pretty crazy weekend, and no, thank you for coming on. The pleasure's all mine. Appreciate you taking time to stop out and come by. But yeah, this fantasy weekend, it was weird. So like a lot of these games were very ugly, especially the Dolphins Broncos. The Broncos got dog walked all game long, but we had some monster fantasy performances. The first one that comes to mind is Devontae Adams having 40 something points. I was in a league where I'm up, 40 something points. I'm like, oh, I got two players left. I got Jamar Chase and another player. I'll be set. Woke up this morning and straight depression hits. I hate fantasy football. I'm down by like 20 points. So we'll see if Jamar Chase can help me out, and we'll see if Dallas Goedert does something today.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see Jamar Chase doing much today though. Joe Burrow's probably going to be out.
That's what I'm nervous for. So do you think is the calf getting healthier, or do you think that like the Bengals botched this by playing him the first couple weeks?
Oh, I think they definitely botched it because now their whole season's screwed. Because I feel like now he probably injured it more, and he's probably going to have surgery on it. If it's really badly injured, like a lot of people think.
Yeah, like you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Kevin Durant's Achilles. His calf was hurt at first. He came back in the playoffs trying to win the finals with the Warriors. And you know what? He snapped his Achilles. I'm nervous about that too because I think Jamar Chase fantasy value definitely went down. I had the number 2 pick in a lot of fantasy leagues this year. That's who I picked was Jamar Chase. And it's like, do I keep him? Because eventually he's going to get his scores. He's got to get his touches. But it's at the point like, do I trade? But nobody's going to give me value for him. So it's like, I don't know what to do. So we'll see.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're just going to start off. We'll go through each of the games we had, starting with the Thursday game. This was kind of a stinker. We knew what was going to happen. The Giants are not a good football team. But some of our 49ers showed out. Christian McCaffrey looks the part. I think he had like another 20-something points. He had 20.4 points, another touchdown. Like betting on Christian McCaffrey right now to score a touchdown every week is one of the safest bets you can do. What were your thoughts on it?
Man, watching that game, you really do. It's funny because me and Connor were actually just talking about it. The Giants are the Cowboys and Eagles' little brother. Like they have always been, and this game really showed it. Because going against, in my opinion, the most fun football team to watch this year is the 49ers. You just see guys like Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy, and obviously Christian McCaffrey. The guy is running around the field like a maniac. So when you see a team like that going against the Giants, you're like, oh, this one's going to be easy. And it really was, especially for Christian McCaffrey. He was making it look like light work out there.
He does. Watching him and players like Nick Chubb, prayers out to Nick Chubb, like they just make running the ball look so easy. They're just gliding out there. It's impressive. And what's scary is Brandon Ayuk didn't even play in this game. And still, that 49ers offense was a well-oiled machine. Granted, it was the Giants. They're not very good. Brian Daboll looks like a fraud for winning Coach of the Year last year. But they came out. They do have the best defense in the league. I hate to say it. And I will agree, they are fun to watch, even though us Eagles fans kind of have a grudge against them. So, but on the other side of the thing, there was nothing going for the Giants. You thought Darren Waller could have potentially had a good game fantasy-wise. No, the Niners completely took him away. Double coverage. Daniel Jones only ran, I think, twice all game. You would have expected at least 10-plus rushing with that D-line. He was held in check all game. It was just an ugly outing if you're a Giants fan. If you're a coach, this is one game you're probably just going to burn the tape and be like, we're moving on to the next opponent.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting some love already, Gio. Let's go. Eagles Unfiltered W take. It was. Moving on to our next game. This is one, everybody out there doesn't know Gio covers the Colts. We're going to look at this Colts-Ravens. Shocking results at this game. Ravens, thank you, completely blew my parlay for me, so I'm down money now because of this. So, Gio, give your thoughts on the game, what you saw, and was there any surprising takeaways that you saw from this game?
Yeah, so you go into this game and you're thinking the Ravens are going to blow this team out of the water. This was expected. The Ravens were going to win. you look at the Colts social media and they put up that meme of all the experts put the Ravens and they were like, "Don't doubt us." So when you look at something like that in this game that we go into, obviously Lamar Jackson just looked way out of sync yesterday. But that Colts defense really did make him afraid, which was pretty shocking for me. Kenny Gainwell Kenny Moore came up with one of the best blocks I've ever seen on that final drive before overtime to stop it before they could get in the field goal range. Obviously, that Michael Pittman catch right before overtime was elite. I love seeing that.
Losing his helmet and everything.
His
He's a
helmet
stud.
came off, and we all held our breath. We're like, Michael Pittman, is he hurt? Is he hurt? And no, sure enough, he gets back up and he's ready to go. So, with that being said, I would extend Michael Pittman literally today.
I don't blame you. And honestly, Shane Steichen, he's had Gardner Minshew before. And us Eagles fans know what happens when Gardner Minshew starts. But you know what? Shane called a much better game plan for him this time around than he did last year for us when we had to play the Giants close to the end of the season. Minshew did scramble a lot. You could tell just the mobility isn't there like Anthony Richardson. But you know what? I got to say, Minshew made some key plays. There was one pass he had. I want to say it was going before halftime. He just kind of lobbed it up. It's like, oh, easy pick. I'm going to make money on this. And no, somehow he completed the pass. So I was impressed with Minshew yesterday. He looked competent. Shane called a great game plan for him. My biggest takeaway is Zach Moss looked great.
Very great.
I mean,
Very great.
I've
gotten the chance to talk to Zach in the past, and he's just a great level-headed player. So obviously, seeing him going into this season, I was very excited to see him, and my expectations for him were very high, and he has. I'd say he's exceeded some of my expectations.
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, they just got rid of Deion Kane. Was that his name? Deion Kane, Deion Jackson, I think.
Yeah.
They just cut him, promoted Zach Moss to the starter, and he's no JT, but hey, he did a great job yesterday filling in for him. So,
100%.
Ooh, Zach Moss took JT's job. I think you're right. I still don't think JT's going back. I think that relationship between him and Irsay severed anything.
Hey, he can play this week.
A lot of people think he'll play maybe a few snaps just so people can see him. So I guess they can. There's something in the contract where if he plays a game or plays a few snaps or something with money or something, it'll be interesting to see. There's some running back needy teams out there, and for us in fantasy, we need JT on the field because the running backs this year in fantasy are a little not good.
Yes, sir.
That's a great point. And honestly, too, with the Colts being able to trade him, I think his value goes down too now that Zach Moss is there. Maybe they won't be asking for like Jalen Waddle in compensation. I thought all along you're never getting a first pick for a running back. Nobody in the league is that stupid to give that capital away, but it's going to be interesting to see nonetheless. Some other standouts from the game too. Matt Gay might be the MVP of this game. What, he hit 4 50-yard field goals yesterday?
Yeah, that was crazy. Colts, he made history or something. It was crazy. Colts fans were praising him, and I saw some guy said that he needs to be paid more than Anthony Richardson, and I was like, whoa, calm down there.
That's easy. I know Pat McAfee and his boys, that was a big for the brand moment was that game yesterday. Matt Gay was slaughtering the ball. That was awesome. Hey, if you had Matt Gay on your roster, I'm pretty sure he got you like 20 points fantasy.
Yeah.
Whenever a kicker gets you 20 points fantasy, you're bound to have a good week.
Right.
So our next matchup, this one was ugly. I thought this would have been a low-scoring game. Thought it would have been a ground-and-pound game, but the Titans versus the Browns. The Browns kind of just did whatever they wanted to, the Titans. The Titans don't have a good team. I said before draft season started, I'm avoiding everybody besides Derrick Henry, depending where I'm picking. It looks to be the case. I'm not a Tannehill believer. I'm not a Watson believer either, but at this state in their careers, I'll take Watson over Tannehill. But your big thing was Deshaun Watson did have himself a decent game. Finally throws for over 150 yards. He gets you 27 of 33, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And him and Amari Cooper, they had a connection during this game. It was impressive to see. There was one catch Amari Cooper made along the sideline and stayed in. That was a touchdown, I believe. It was insane. Jerome Ford looked the part. Kareem Hunt, limited action. It's going to be interesting to see going forward. Who's going to take the lead role? Are they going to stay with Jerome Ford? Does Kareem Hunt get the lead role, or is it going to be like a true 50-50 split?
Yeah, so I barely watched this game just because I had Red Zone on. But when you rewatch some of the film and you look how scared the Titans were against Myles Garrett, like that guy is just so scary and intimidating. You could tell Ryan Tannehill was pretty scared too. So I don't think Tannehill is that guy for the Titans. But Deshaun Watson, he has shown that he can kind of be that guy. He's shown little spurts here and there the past few weeks that have made you think, whoa, this guy's could get back to the Deshaun Watson that we knew when he was really, really good a few years ago.
Yeah, I agree. You know who was exciting to see? Elijah Moore actually got involved a little bit in the passing game more. So with Watson's production going up, best believe the other receivers is going up. Elijah Moore had 9 receptions, 49 yards. Like 49 yards is whatever, but 9 receptions, that's great in fantasy if you're playing PPR. So we'll continue to see if this is going forward. And your point on Myles Garrett, is he the defensive player of the year as of right now? He is just obliterating O-lines. Did you see when he was moving across the formation, they made sure 2 linemen followed him and they had to call timeout? I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that either. He moved over 4 times each time.
I mean, he's sitting there doing basketball crossovers before he put somebody in a spin cycle. Like, I've never, even with Aaron Donald for how dominant he's been, I've never seen a defensive lineman have swagger like this. It's been fun to watch. Cleveland's got a fun little defense that's been going on.
For sure.
Our next game, this is the dog walking. The Dolphins completely obliterate the Denver Broncos, make the Denver Broncos look like a middle school team going up an NFL team. This was embarrassing. The big takeaways are, hey, if you stack Tyreek Hill to Tagovailoa, you're probably in for a great fantasy year. If you have any one of the Dolphins running backs between Mostert and A-Chain, you might be set at running back for a little while. I mean, I've never seen 2 running backs on the same team put over 40 points of fantasy. Did you watch the game or were you just watching the highlights after highlights on the red zone?
I was just watching the highlights because at one point I just turned off the game. I'm like, guys, at what point does this get just disrespectful? And what point do the NFL put in a pity rule? Like, it just had to be the game. The game should have ended early. It was just crazy to watch, and it was just a crazy game. Tua Tagovailoa, obviously coming back from last year. He looked rough last year because of all of his injuries. Now him and Tyreek Hill's energy together has been one of the best energies I've seen.
It's been amazing. And Connor was in our group chat saying, I don't think we've ever seen a receiver transform an offense and a culture as much as Tyreek Hill has for the Dolphins. Tua looks out of this world playing QB. He's my MVP pick for right now, the way he's been playing. He had another 309 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. After what happened to him last year, he deserves what's going. He works so hard. It's been fun. Mike McDaniels is the perfect head coach for that Dolphins offense, just because even without Waddle, they're putting up 70 burgers. What do you do when that guy comes back and you have to account for his speed? Because Waddle's not slow at all. He's shifty. Waddle is nice. It's just, I don't know how you stop that team. We were talking to Radio Slave one day. We wanted to go possibly watch the Eagles game where the Dolphins come to town. It's I don't know if I want to spend money to watch that. That's going to be we could get spanked, honestly, especially if our offense looks the way it does.
Yeah.
Whew, I don't know.
Right. We got a few weeks to prepare.
That is true.
Very,
very true.
We're going to be bringing out the Kelly Green energy in that game, so it's going to be different.
That's true. The Kelly Greens. You know what? The Kelly Greens are going to look nice with the Dolphins colors, too. I like 100%. The Dolphins colors. But yeah, just some other stats. Devin A-Chain, 18 rushes, 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. What? That's prime Jay Ajayi before the knee problems started happening while he was in Miami. Mostert, 13 rushes, 82 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. If I'm not mistaken, I think Mostert even had a passing touchdown in this game, or receiving touchdown. The third stringer, something Brooks, I don't know his first name. Sorry, Dolphins fans. He had 9 attempts for 66 yards. That Broncos team defense was just awful. Their offense is awful. I think Russ is cooked. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he should definitely retire after this season. It is time for him to hang it up. And Sean Payton after that game, oh my God, he was so angry in his press conference.
I imagine like Peyton in the locker room probably hit a player with a few items throwing him around. He's not a nice coach to be around. And then something after that. Oh, my internet's acting funky, huh?
It's all right.
All
You're
right.
back now.
All right, cool. So yeah, Russ, I mean, he had 306 yards. That's cool. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But if you watch it, Russ, when he's trying to escape the pocket like he does, like he just has no mobility left. There's no juice when he's running anymore.
He looks like he doesn't even want to be out there.
Exactly. And like the running, I don't think anybody does. Garrett Bowles came out and said he's tired of losing. He's been 7 years of straight L's. See, Chris Brooks had to Google him. That's who it was, Chris Brooks. Even Mike White. Mike White came in and threw a 60-yard bomb. I don't know why the Jets got rid of Mike White because Zach Wilson's garbage. We'll get into that later. But bright spots were Judy and Sutton had a decent day. They were just peppering Sutton with targets, 8 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. That was good. Judy had 5 for 81. This Marvin Mims guy seems to be like Russ's go-to guy. He had 3 for 73. Decent fantasy production going forward. I have no clue what to expect. Javonte Williams owners, that's me. Didn't really do anything again. Well, game flow, when you're down, 60 points, you can't really run the ball. So we'll see going forward. I mean, good days have to be ahead, right? Like you can't look that bad every week.
Yeah, you really can't look that bad every week. So hopefully it turns around.
I agree. Next game, this is another stinker on the slate. We all expected this, though. The Jets and Patriots with bad weather in the game. Zach Wilson, my goodness gracious. 18 for 36, 157 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And of those 157 yards, probably half of that came with like the last quarter. It was terrible. The running backs looked terrible. Brees Hall, 12 carries, 18 yards. Ugly. Dalvin Cook, at this point, I don't even know why they signed him. It was kind of a waste. The receivers, Garrett Wilson, I think is going to end up throwing hands at Zach Wilson. Like you can just see the frustration. We knew the production was going to drop off, but to this extent, I know the Jets O line's bad. That defense from the Patriots is legitimate, no matter how bad their offense is. But yeah, the Jets, there's nobody worth having right now. And on New England side of the thing, Mac Jones, 201 yards and a touchdown. That's all right. It's the random people on New England's offense that get these touchdowns all the time. Same thing we've had to deal with year in, year out with the running backs. It's now with the receivers. What are your takeaways from this?
If I want to be completely honest, Dakota, I did not even want to watch this game, so I just did not put it on. I did not watch anything on this game because I knew it was just gonna be trash. The New York Jets and the Patriots just looked awful the past few weeks. So I was like, I am not interested in watching this at all. So
yeah,
I didn't watch.
I bet the under as soon as I could, and thankfully I did because 25 points in an NFL game. Whoever bought tickets to go see that in person, I'm so sorry. Hopefully you won't make the same mistake twice.
I hope they paid like cheap.
I agree with this. Gio can throw better than Zach Wilson.
I can't.
Everybody in our group chat.
My problem is whoever's on that account. I don't know if that's Connor. I imagine it's Connor, but I can't see over the O line. That's my problem.
Hey, I don't think Zach can either.
I gotta lob it up there.
Oh, well, it'd be better than what he does. I mean, Zach was literally just throwing like 5-yard passes all game long. It was the dumbest game plan I've ever seen. So, but our next one, this was a bit of a blowout, but not a bit. We got the Bills at the Washington Commanders. The Bills, they got back on track after looking horrible week 1. Josh Allen's looking better, had another pick, but that's what you get with Josh Allen. He's going to make some amazing plays. He's going to make some boneheaded plays. It is what it is. Their defense looked great. Sam Howell, buddy, yikes. For so many people stating that Sam Howell is the guy in Washington, Yesterday was not the game to claim that. 170 yards throwing, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and some of these interceptions were ugly.
Yeah. So watching this game, it was crazy. Obviously with these divisional games, you look at it and you're like, you want them to lose, but when they lose this bad, it feels even better. Same with the Dallas game. Nobody thought Dallas was going to lose to the Arizona Cardinals, but this Washington game, you thought they were going to be a little bit better. Obviously, like you said, people are saying that Sam Howell can be that guy. Me personally, I do not think he can be that guy, and obviously, both of the Washington Commanders and Cowboys lost. So this is really tonight is the Eagles' chance to capitalize and get ahead.
This is why that Hurts quote hits so hard right now. When did winning games not become the standard? Like, this is why we stack wins early, because the second half of the schedule gets tough for us. But yeah, the
Exactly.
picks were ugly. This pick to the D lineman, like, I don't know if you saw it. This pick to the D lineman, the D lineman was already in the air. Hal's like looking at this guy jumping in there and just throws it right at him. Like, I don't know what he's. I couldn't tell you. I was thinking maybe he didn't think the guy had hang time like that. It was ugly. Brian Robinson, though, continues to look well running the ball. He had 10 for 70. I mean, you'll take that 7 yards a carry. No touchdowns this week, unfortunately. The pass catchers, they did horrible because, Howell did horrible. McLaurin's leading with 6 for 41. Curtis Samuel, 2 for 54, but one of that came on a big completion. Jahan Dotson, who a lot of people thought would take over like the wide receiver 1 role this year, 2 for 21. Ugly all around, but for the Bills, Stephon Diggs is just like, he is as reliable as it gets in fantasy every year. Like, I don't know what Washington was doing, but half his catches yesterday, he was wide open in these zones. Like, he didn't even know what to do. Like, he's just like walking after he catches the ball, trying to figure out where to go because he's wide open. 8 for 111. And then, again, the same story of Buffalo. Nobody comes to take and fill that role for the number. Sorry about my internet, folks. I don't know why it's acting like this
It's all right. You're back now. You're back.
But yeah, James Cook, he looked good too. Latavius Murray continues to be a touchdown vulture. He's one of the most annoying players in fantasy. Deeper leagues, you can use him as a flex option because he always gets goal line work. And, Buffalo's always going to be around the end zone. Other than that, there's not much else you can take away from this game. The next one on the slate, I thought this was going to be a potential shootout at first. And then when I was thinking about it, I was like, maybe the offense is struggling in the red zone. That's exactly what happened. Lions playing the Falcons. Excited we get to see the 2 rookie running backs face off against one another. Me being a Jahmyr Gibbs stan and saying he's going to be awesome all year continues to get teased by the Lions, saying they're finally going to unleash him, and they don't. Granted, he had 17 touches yesterday, which is great work. Just nothing happening, not getting anything in the receiving game. Bijan Robinson, 10 carries, 33 yards. They held him in check. I don't think he had much receiving either. Let's see. He had 4 for 27. So not bad fantasy production. This Falcons offense, one of the ugliest in the NFL. Arthur Smith loves to run the ball. They don't trust Ritter to throw, which hurts Drake London owners and, of course, Kyle Pitt owners. I don't know what to even tell people anymore. Like, if you have Drake London or Tyler Algier or Kyle Pitts, like, it's almost like you got to bench them. But their deep flex considerations are nothing more than that. Games they get behind early, yeah, you can probably maybe use London as a wide receiver 3. Kyle Pitts, though, he hasn't shown anything since he's been there. I'm actually looking forward to him possibly leaving once his rookie deal is up because he's just not getting targets at all, which is insane for his athletic profile.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying to see them take him and then not use him at all. Bijan Robinson obviously has been such a good player this year. So to see the Detroit Lions being able to contain him has been pretty wild to see that, to be honest. But I love the Lions this year going into this year. They just kind of have a swagger to them that not a lot of teams have. So I love watching the Lions week in and week out.
I do too. And Amon-Ra is one of my favorite receivers to watch in the game. He works primarily in the slot, but the way they manufacture touches for him, and he is so reliable. and his story about remembering all the wide receivers that got drafted before them. He knows what college they went to, what round they were taken. I love that about him. He's got swagger. This guy, the tight end Laporta, he might be something. Now people are starting to understand, like, hey, that may be why they were okay with letting TJ go, because Laporta's showing out. He has a chemistry with Goff. Goff still looks good. As I said, the running game, it is what it is. He had 17 rushes by Gibbs for 80. I mean, that's not horrible. He hasn't had a touchdown yet. You're waiting to see the explosion in the Kamara use that we were kind of hoping for, because Dan Campbell coached Alvin Kamara his rookie season while he was in New Orleans. Hasn't happened yet. I don't know if I should keep telling people to just hold on and wait, because when David Montgomery backs, they like to use him to go in between the tackles. So I don't know if this is a slow ramp-up period, or are we eventually just waiting for Gibbs to get comfortable in the Lions offense, and then they're going to unleash him a little bit later.
Dakota, you're going again.
Are we back?
You're back. You're back. that's the most awkward 30 seconds of my life.
Let's see it.
You're good now, though.
Let me know if you can hear me, Gio. Sorry, folks.
I can hear you.
All right. We're back. Sorry, I figured it out. I think my cord is going bad.
Connor even texted me. He said, that awkward look when he freezes.
Right? It is so bad.
So awkward. I have 30 seconds of just awkwardness.
Right? Oh, you got to love technology. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't, boy, it gives you headaches. But moving on to the next game, we had an exciting one yesterday. Saints and Packers. Fortunately, Derek Carr got injured. Not a serious injury. He'll be out for a few weeks. Jordan Love looked awful pretty much the whole game. The fourth quarter, he did his best Rodgers impersonation, brought the team back for a victory. Jordan Love looks great these first 3 weeks.
Yeah, Jordan Love, he definitely can be that guy for the Packers, and I think he is. He's just got to stop making drunk plays and looking like he's drunk out there. I mean, last week when you see that, what was he even trying to do? A QB sneak? And he was just completely drunk out there and just ran into the offensive line. So that was crazy. It looked worse than a rookie play. So, so definitely needs to stop making some drunk plays. But once he gets that down, he'll be perfect.
And what's been impressive is, too, he's missing one of his top weapons. Christian Washington's been out each week. He hasn't had him yet, but he's making plays with what he's got. Romeo Doubs for 2 weeks has looked really good. They have a little bit of a connection going. With Aaron Jones being out, that's a big piece missing from their offense. So this was impressive that he was still able to lead a comeback against a pretty good Saints defense. But yeah, Jordan Love, let's see, 22 of 44, 259 yards, a touchdown, a pick. Actually started scrambling yesterday. He had 9 rushes for 39 yards and a touchdown. So for fantasy purposes, he was already QB2 in fantasy. He starts rushing a little bit more like this and trusts his legs, he might stay in top 5 territory all season long, because I think the Packers are going to have to throw to stay in games. For whatever reason, A.J. Dillon, he's a great player. I like him a lot. He just doesn't get anything going. I think part of that's because of the offensive line injuries they've had. But Luke Musgrave, 6 for 49. Dobbs, 5 for 73, a touchdown. This Reed guy had a massive play yesterday at 3 for 63. And then on New Orleans side of the ball, Chris Olave is that guy. I'm so glad I have Olave in all of my leagues. He's been a stud. He had another 8 for 104. Almost had a touchdown, bounced out of his chest, so he would have had an even bigger day. What's your takeaway from the Saints?
Yeah, so the Saints looked like the Saints. Um, Obviously Derek Carr going down kind of hurt them. I did turn off this game just because I was kind of annoyed. But the the Saints just need to kind of rebuild at this point.
Yeah, I agree. They get Kamara back next game, so that should definitely help them. But
Thank
losing,
God for my fantasy.
yeah, I think they're going to use him a lot. Kamara, he's special receiving out of the backfield. One of the smoothest runners you'll see when he's in space is pretty impressive. Other than that, Michael Thomas, he's looking pretty good. He had another 6 for 50, so that's been kind of nice. Uh, Waiting to see if Rashid Shaheed starts taking more of a leap in the receiving game. He had that big long completion week one. He's got juice. Just hasn't really been consistent when he's played receiver. And then the old fella, Jimmy Graham had a touchdown yesterday in a Saints uniform. It's so wild to see that. Back when I first started playing fantasy and got into it, it was the Jimmy Graham and Drew Brees show, and Jimmy Graham was putting up like 3 touchdowns a week, easy 120 something yards, doing the slam dunk celebration on the goalpost. So that was kind of cool to see. Did it against his former team, the Packers. Was hoping to see him do a Lambo leap, and I guess he decided not to because he didn't want to get hit with popcorn or something. So we got our next game, another shocker, and another reason why I lost some money yesterday. Texans hosting the Jaguars. Whew. I thought the Jaguars were going to put the smackdown on the Texans finally. History repeated itself. Whatever reason, Jacksonville cannot get it right against the Texans. CJ Stroud looks the part. It's been pretty impressive. D'Amico Ryans has got that team believing in themselves, so I was excited to see that.
Yeah, and I love the Texans organization. I know many people in the Texans organization, and they've said, we're going to turn a corner and we're going to turn a corner once we find our guy. And they have found their guy. CJ Stroud is their guy, and he's going to be their guy. Beating Doug Peterson, man, it's just great to see that for the Texans. Hopefully, they do turn that corner with CJ Stroud pretty soon. But like I said, I really do think that he's that guy, and he will be that guy.
Yeah, like I say, he looks the part. 20 for 30. Completion percentage is great. 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. That was the most impressive because the Jags have a decent defense. Even losing their starting corner, they still have a decent defense. That D line is pretty good. And I was just expecting with the inexperience of both CJ and D'Amico Ryans being the head coach, I thought Doug was going to dog walk him. Didn't happen. Damian Pierce had good rushing numbers. I mean, not good. He had good attempt usage. He had 14 rushes, 31 yards, and a touchdown. Pretty much salvaged his day by having the touchdown. Other than that, Damian Pierce has kind of been a letdown for fantasy owners this year. Last year, he was like baby Marshawn Lynch, just running over people left and right. Was the only reason the Texans ever scored. This year, though, players like Nico Collins, Tank Bigsby, they look great with CJ. And it's so nice that for CJ's rookie year, he's building chemistry with some of these younger guys because Nico is still young. This is a great point too. Texas going through O-line hell too. Like they look like that with missing Titus Howard and Mr. Gas Mask Smoker himself, Jeremy Tunsil. So once they get healthy, that team might start rolling. Could the Texans potentially win that division? Because
They
they're in
definitely
with the
could.
Jets.
They definitely could. We saw they beat the best team in their division, so it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible.
Yeah. On Jacksonville's side of things, like Trevor Lawrence was under duress all game long. They just could not get a rhythm at all. I thought Calvin Ridley was going to go off because Stingley is out on IR. Wasn't the case. 27 to 40 from T Law, 279, a touchdown and a pick. ETN, he got injured. I don't know what the severity of his injury is, but he had 19 carries for 88 yards. Hopefully, nothing too serious with him because he's a fun player to watch when he gets going. And then for the Jags, like the three-headed monster at receiving, Ingram had the most, 7 catches, 67. Christian Kirk, 4 for 54 and a touchdown. That's pretty much the role you expect from him. He's kind of your boomer bust slot player. And then Ridley, only 3 for 40. So the Jaguars just weren't on the same page. You could tell it. Hopefully next week's a bounce back week. I expect the Calvin Ridley revenge tour this year to amp up a little bit. They'll come back. They have to. They're going to throw the ball a lot. Dougie P don't like to run the ball consistently. So we'll see what's going on forward with them. Our next one, this was a fun game. This is the game I watched the most because I'm a huge Jordan Addison fan. Vikings, Chargers, the over was like 57 points or something. They expected it to be a shootout. Turned out to be a shootout. And this was a game of which team wants to give away the game more because they did their best in the fourth quarter.
This was the game of who's gonna choke the most. So it was definitely it was not a game that I was excited for, but it was definitely it was a weird one for sure. It was a weird one.
Ooh, I'm projected to win by 5. Who's a safer start tonight between Kyron Williams and Puka? I'm going to say Puka. While Cooper Kupp is out, Stafford has a connection with him. If Stafford has a connection with you, he's going to pepper you with targets. So you got to ride the hot hand. You got to go Puka. I can live with myself putting Kyron on the bench and him maybe having like a really good game. I can't live with myself if Puka goes off for like another 20 plus. I'm definitely going Puka. Yeah, back to this Chargers-Vikings game. 28-24. It was a good one. The Vikings had a chance to win this, and for whatever reason, the last play of the game, they wasted so much time lining up instead of spiking the ball. They should have easily had 2 or 3 plays in the red zone. They have one, ends on a Kirk Cousins pick. Let me know if you heard that one before. But overall, Justin Jefferson had another stellar game. You're welcome, Liam. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Cousins, another 32 of 50, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Cousins does look good. Alexander Madison finally had himself a decent game. 20 carries, 93 yards. Got himself involved in the receiving game, 5 for 32. Fantasy managers I think he had 19, 20 points, something like that. Jefferson, again, 7 for 149 and a touchdown. Like, Jefferson is that's one of the biggest lineup blocks you can have all season long. Tyreek said he's going for 2,000 yards. I'm not mistaken, I think Jefferson's right on pace to be up there with him. And then Addison didn't get started going till late, but he had 6 for 52. And Hawkinson, another 8 for 78. So feel good about the pass catchers in the Vikings. KJ Osborne, even. You can put him in deeper leagues at a flex. He has a big player, too, each week, it seems like.
This is going to be controversial, but I got to say it. Kirk Cousins is another one that I think should just hang it up. I think that he has a great personality, and I think he would be great on-air talent for the NFL Network or ESPN. But his football career is just slowly coming to an end.
What do you think? I've seen a lot of people saying that the Jets should go after him. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he could revitalize that offense enough to put him in a deep playoff run with that defense?
No, he chokes way, way too much.
I agree. Like, he has great games, but when the lights get bright, Kirk does not like to come out.
Right.
And honestly, it's starting to feel that way. Like, I'm a huge Herbert fan, but like they won yesterday, but Herbert has kind of that problem too. Just doesn't seem to close out games. They closed this one out, but that shouldn't have been close if you ask me. That Vikings secondary is so bad. Like, this game shouldn't have been that close. I feel like the Chargers defense is much better than what they show. Granted, they have like a player they paid a lot of money to in J.C. Jackson, who hasn't touched the field like a handful of times for them since they signed him. But Herbert had himself a day, 40 for 47. Like, he barely missed anything. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. Keenan Allen looks like he's 20 years old again. Like, that guy is looking great. 18 catches. Folks, 18 catches. 215 yards. Another 40-point performance by him. He's been awesome this year. Mike Williams, who unfortunately is out for the season, 7 for 121 and a touchdown. Gerald Everett, 6 for 30. Josh Palmer, 4 for 66 and a touchdown. I mean, the passing offense looks great. Even with Eckler out, they're still efficient in the air. When Eckler comes back, I don't know what this offense is going to be because I don't know how Eckler is going to play this year, but still, it was an exciting performance from Herbert. Quentin Johnson, I believe is his name, the rookie they drafted this year. He's probably going to take over that role that Mike Williams has. Quentin Johnson is basically the same build too. Big, tall, can make contested catches, but he's a deep threat. So we'll see. Maybe he has a couple boom weeks, or do they put Josh Palmer there right now waiting for Quentin Johnson to get up to speed? Not really sure yet. All right. I didn't watch this game at all, to be completely honest, because I was ready to go to bed at this point. Well, not, or take a nap. Panthers, Seahawks. Seahawks have been
I
a
didn't
little.
watch that one either.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is. I wanted to watch the Seahawks this year because of Devin Witherspoon. Really like him. Tariq Woolen. Really like him. Just I didn't watch it. Seahawks pull out 37-27. See, Gino had looks like Gino had a decent game. 296, a touchdown, and interception. Oh, I believe Connor's a Josh Palmer fan. I like Josh Palmer too. Thinking though they might. I think he goes away in free agency. Personally, I wouldn't. Hey, I wouldn't mind putting him in the slot over Quez. Just saying, get some explosion out of him. He's a taller receiver. That's just wishful thinking. But Kenny Walker third looks like a stud at running back this year. That pick, Zach Charbonnet, everybody was, including me, was a little fearful was going to be running back by committee. Hasn't been the case. Walker 18 for 97 and 2 tuds. Yes, Charbonnet got 9 carries for 46. Pete Carroll loves to run the ball. While Kenny Walker is healthy, they're going to run him into the dirt.
Connor just texted me the most outrageous thing I've ever heard.
What'd he say?
he said, laugh in the camera if your balls are laugh in the camera. I can't. Laugh in the camera if your balls are stinky.
That's Connor Miles on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Go follow him on Kick and Twitch.
I can't.
Oh, man. Oh, he's trading somebody too.
He said, I knew it.
That's great.
Oh my gosh.
Going back to unstinky balls, Metcalf had a good game. 6 catches, 112. Good week. Metcalf has his boomer bust weeks. I wish Metcalf would go somewhere else, honestly, just because I want to see him with a gunslinger. I think Metcalf, he reminds me of T.O., just how he's built, how tall he is, how fast he is. Who else am I looking at? Kenny Walker had 3 for 59. That's impressive. Lockett, 3 for 34. Smith and Jigba. He's kind of the lost man in this offense because of all the mouths to feed. Only 1 for 10, but as he progresses, learns a little bit more, gets more use in the playbook, and gets more targets, I think JSN's going to look really good in this offense. What's your thoughts?
Who are we talking about? The Seahawks?
Whoever you want. You can talk about the Seahawks. Carolina on the other end, you had Andy Dalton playing, so nobody was excited for that. But he had 361 and 2 touchdowns, threw the ball 58 times. Can't believe his arm didn't fall off.
Yeah.
This Connor's on one right now.
Yeah, the Seahawks. I don't really follow the Seahawks as heavy as I probably should. I've gotten to know DK Metcalf a few times. I talked to him, and I feel like he needs to be in a better organization. I feel like the Seahawks are just not going to get a win for many years. So I think he needs to just go to a different team that can kind of build around him.
I agree because, I mean, he is a specimen of a wide receiver. Like, he had a linebacker bounce off him.
Right.
Metcalf just looked at him like, what was that, a mosquito? Like, what wide receiver does that? On the Carolina side of the ball, like, Miles Sanders had a decent fantasy production, but he had 9 carries for 24 yards and a touchdown. Like, the efficiency isn't there. He had 5 catches for 38. Big takeaway is Adam Thielen looks like he's still got some juice left. That's been their go-to wide receiver. I don't think anybody was really expecting that. I thought they were expecting Chark to be the clear-cut number 1. It's been Adam Thielen pretty much. He had 11 for 145 and a touchdown. DJ Chark with 4 for 86 and a touchdown. Hey, if Adam Thielen's available, go ahead and stash him while you can because he's been the main guy. Miles Sanders payday looking rough. Hey, I was one of the first ones to tell you boys I was glad we got rid of him. But
yep.
Not being a hater, it's just he was a product of our O-line.
Yep.
And then, like I said, we all know his regression as a receiver is one of the most mind-boggling things I've ever seen out of a player.
Do we know if Kenny Gainwell or DeAndre Swift is starting tonight?
I couldn't tell you. I would hope it'd be DeAndre Swift. I'm scared too. Connor just had a podcast with Ed, and nobody knows what Nick Sirianni's definition of the hot hand is. They keep giving us that lame excuse, oh, we're going to ride the hot hand. But, like, Like, I like Kenny Gainwell as a player, but, like, how do you even, like, take carries away from DeAndre Swift after what you saw
Yeah.
last week?
Right.
DeAndre Swift's vision, 10
Player
times better
base.
than Gainwell. Yeah,
Player
175 yards. Nobody's done it since McCoy. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I would like him to get less reps so we can try to keep him a little bit healthier because we're going to need him. But if the offense struggles, we got to ride Swift. Like, he's the guy. I don't know how you do that with Kenny. Kenny should get anywhere from me 10 to 15 touches, and that's about it. Swift needs to have like the 18 to 22 range. And then sprinkle in Boston Scott, and then start Boston Scott when you play the Giants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But moving on, the surprise of the week. I hate to say this. I actually bet the Cowboys. The Cowboys screwed me out of a big old parlay. I was about to turn $300 into over 300.
Dak Prescott did not have fire in his gut.
No, he did not take the bus to the stadium. He called an Uber. Shame on you. Pew, 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 pew. The weirdo Jonathan Gannon shocks the world as the Arizona Cardinals beat the Cowboys 28-16. And the Cardinals kind of put the blueprint out. You would think with Trayvon Diggs being gone, all right, the Cowboys lost because, they lost one of the best corners in the league. No, the thing that was killing the Cowboys was the run game yesterday. Hey, for us Eagles fans, when we're looking forward to the matchups going out here, that continues to happen. Dallas might be in trouble because the Eagles are one of the best run teams in football. So continue to monitor that situation. I think the big thing is Mike McCarthy's calling the plays again. I don't know where folks have been. Last time Mike McCarthy called plays, it didn't end too well in Green Bay. That'll be something to monitor. But, yeah, I got to say, wasn't expecting that yesterday.
Me either. I really did think that the Cowboys were going to pull through. I actually predicted that it was going to be such a blowout that the Cowboys were going to put up 50 on the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, you thought it was going to be like that?
That did not happen, as we saw. So,
yeah, like the spread was 12.5 for the Cowboys. Double-digit spreads really scare me, so I just took their money line. But
it's crazy how you can go from scoring 70 total points in the past 2 weeks to that.
It just shows you any given Sunday.
Yep.
But yeah, Dak, 25 of 40, 249 yards, a touchdown and interception. That interception he threw, though, was ugly. Triple coverage. I don't know what he saw. But, again, Tony Pollard looks like, honestly, to be one of the best draft picks this year. Another 23 carries for 122 yards. Also had 3 catches for -1 yard, but he gets involved in the receiving game. Michael Gallup looked great, 6 for 92. Ferguson, the tight end, 5 for 48. CeeDee Lamb was held in check, 4 for 53. So expect CeeDee owners, you'll have a bounce back week coming up. On Arizona's side of the thing, they won the game, and Josh Dobbs only had 189 yards and 1 touchdown. That's ridiculous. Rondale Moore had a rushing touchdown. James Conner had a rushing touchdown. They just got gashed on the ground. And then, honestly, I don't even like talking about the Cardinals receivers. I think they're so ugly. Hollywood Brown's decent. He had 3 for 61 and a tud. And Wilson had 2 for 86. But I don't expect that to happen going forward just because that team is so depleted.
Yep.
So, our next one. Do we even talk about this game? The Bears going into the Taylor Swift game. I saw more Taylor Swift than I saw Justin Fields completions yesterday.
The Kansas City Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. Part of me thinks it is the coaching that's affecting Fields, but this is ridiculous. He went 11 of 22, 99 yards and a touchdown. How do you only throw for 99 yards and you're down by 40 the whole game?
My gosh. It was a game that I expected it to be a blowout, but the Chiefs put on a show for Taylor Swift.
They did. That's for sure. Anybody that's got DJ Moore ownership, Khalil Herbert owners, Justin Fields owners, yeah, that's me too. Like, you cannot feel good. He's like, it's almost the point where you can release him in fantasy. And I think the Bears actually need to bench him because for him to call out his coaches in a press conference like he did, for somebody that's supposed to be the face of the franchise, calling out coaches like that is not the way. That's not the leader you want. I mean, you can't blame the coaches when you could. I bet we'll watch the tape. There'll probably be receivers open, and he just refuses to throw the ball, which baffles my mind because at Ohio State, he was a good pocket passer. He had good pocket awareness. Now he's just like his pocket. There is no pocket awareness. He's running into sacks. Like I don't know. Like if you have Bears players, honestly, it's to the point where you got to get rid of them all. DJ Moore had a garbage time touchdown that kind of salvaged his day, but other than that, they're not targeting him. The run game is non-existent. Now, granted, you can't really run in a game when you're down 40-something points, but on the Chiefs side of the ball, Mahomes, 24 for 33, 272, 3 touchdowns, didn't even need to play the full game, still had a good fantasy game. Pacheco and Hilaire, they did good, 15 carries apiece. Pacheco, 62 yards, a touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 55 and a touchdown. The Chiefs won't ever be a running team. This is one of the reasons why. Like I drafted Pacheco and I finally traded him because like he's just not reliable enough. This is the week where I wish I would have kept him, but it is what it is. Connor says the Bears broke him. Yeah, the Bears did break him. I don't even know if a change of scenery is going to help him at this point, but something's got to get done. Chicago's probably going to get the number 1 pick next year. Probably have a QB. I don't know. Honestly, now I'm just thinking about the completely random thought. If I were the Rams, I would try to go after Justin Fields. Stafford's getting older. If you can get Fields for cheap and learn under Sean McVay, I bet you Sean McVay could get him right again. That might be an exciting offense.
With Cooper Kupp, too.
Mm-hmm. And Puka. And
yeah.
That might be exciting now that I think about it. But Travis Kelce, no shocker, he ended with this stat line. 7 catches for 69 yards at a touchdown while his girlfriend shows up to the game. This is all planned. It's all scripted. It's ridiculous. Nice. Yeah. But other than that, like Chiefs receivers, don't trust anybody but Travis Kelce, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But looking forward to tonight's games. We'll start with the Rams-Bengals because we'll leave our team we want to talk about last. Rams-Bengals, 8:15. No word yet on if Burrow's going to play. I think they should hold him out. Honestly, forcing him to go out there, it just sounds like bad news. Does this affect your Bengals receivers? Yeah, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase probably won't do too hot. Irv Smith Jr., the tight end, I think he was questionable with something. He might not do too well. Joe Mixon really hasn't done that great so far, but that's because of, their franchise quarterback having to deal with this injury and can't push the ball downfield so they can load up the box on him. On the other side of it, the Rams, I thought, be like the worst team in the NFL, and they don't. They look pretty good. Stafford looks like he's healthy. Puka has been amazing, basically Cooper Kupp 2.0. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting one. Great Monday night matchup. On the biggest stage. Very excited to see if Joe Burrow plays because here's where I'm at. If Joe Burrow plays, he'll be out for the rest of the season. He's gonna get hurt and he's gonna need surgery. If they rest him now, he'll be good by mid to end of season, and it could still possibly be salvageable the season. So at this point, I'd rather take that risk than risking my franchise quarterback getting hurt and not being able to play into the beginning of next season. So I would not risk that at all, especially when you're going against a good team like the Rams. They're not going to let their foot off the gas. They're going to try to get them and get them down. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen here. Like you said, Matt Stafford just looks really good. And they look like that Super Bowl winning team that they were a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the defense showing. I'd be scared too. Like, I don't want to throw Burrow out there against Aaron Donald with that garbage O-line. Like, that's scary. Don't need to succumb to injuries for something. Especially, it's an AFC versus NFC showdown. Season's still young. You got a bunch of division games you got to play later down the road. And the Bengals are in a tough division. No matter how much like the Ravens offense or the Steelers offense struggle, they're in a good division. Like they're going to have to bring their A game down the road.
Yep.
But for the Rams, like, hey, the Rams might be division leaders in the next coming weeks. They might win this division. Who knows? I thought Seattle was going to run away with it. Not looking like that. So that'll be interesting. Let's move on to the game that really matters tonight. We got the undefeated Birds going against the Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers this is in Tampa Bay, right?
Yep. in Tampa Bay.
In Tampa Bay. The Birds' offense has not looked good at all. We
At
understand
all.
that. However, they still have put up decent points their first two matchups. Jalen Hurts, yeah, he hasn't looked comfortable, but you know what? For fantasy purposes, you're starting him because if the Birds are on the 1 yard line, he's getting the tush push sneak touchdown. You're getting the rushing yards, you're getting the rushing touchdowns, you're getting bonus points there. And then AJ Brown. Everybody's like, oh my God, AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts don't like each other. No. They're best buds. They're competitors. Like, I get it.
That's like me and you yelling at each other on the games.
Exactly.
Like, we're best friends.
Exactly. Like, we're competitive. We want to win. We hate losing. There's no harm by it. Like, it's the same thing when I used to play basketball with my friends. Like, I'm going to call you out for some dumb shit. If I'm open, hit me. If you're open, I'll hit you. So I do expect AJ's going to have a big game today. I put him in as an anytime touchdown scorer. I think this is the perfect week for the Eagles offense to bounce back and kind of shut up some of the haters because that defense from Tampa Bay, they have pieces. The secondary is a little banged up. The linebackers and Vita Vea kind of scare me, but our offensive line should be able to handle Vita Vea. On the Buccaneers side of the ball, if the Eagles D-line could enforce their will like they have been, I think Baker's going to have a rough week because he does not like to have to leave his spot in the pocket. If you let Baker stand in the pocket and get hot, we could be in for a long game. James Bradbury's back. That's great. The word is he's probably going to follow Chris Godwin, which thank the Lord because I thought Chris Godwin would eat this game without Avonte Maddox. Mike Evans is having a great year. Looks like he's going to keep that 1,000-yard streak going. But this could – you think this could be a shootout, like a high-scoring game more than what people are thinking?
I think it really could be. It could be the most exciting game of the week. It has that potential. Two great teams. But, Dakota, I think we're going to see a lot of this from the defensive line.
I hope so, too.
Kick it down.
I'm down.
Down, baby.
Hey, Fletcher Cox, too. The old man has been rejuvenated by the young guys up front. Jordan Davis has probably been the most impressive player we've had this year. He is destroying double teams. He's throwing linemen into the running back, tackling the running back by throwing their O-line at him. That guy's an incredible Hulk. It's amazing how he moves at his size. Jalen Carter's been everything we could hope for, and then some. As of right now, I think he's easily leading defensive rookie of the year. Will Anderson had a blocked field goal yesterday. Other than that, really haven't heard about much Will Anderson hype as we had over Jalen Carter. So this one's going to be exciting. I would love a shootout. I would love if the Birds win, but for fantasy purposes, I do need Jamar Chase and Dallas Goedert to go off to win a matchup or two. So I would like to see Goddard get 60 yards, 2 tutties, something like that.
100%.
Yeah, but that's all we got, folks. Thanks for tuning in. This has been our longest episode yet. We're about at the hour mark. Gio, let people know where they can find your brand and all your the goodness that you're bringing out.
You can find me at Gio the Podcaster on Twitter and Instagram and Threads. You can find me, The Giovanni Show, on Twitch and YouTube. Thank you guys for having me today. You and all your listeners are just the best. So thank you so much, Dakota.
Oh, no, thank you, Gio. Go and follow Gio. He has some amazing content. He's been getting I'm talking star-studded cast. He's had Colleen Wolfe on. He gets players on. Rich Eisen is like one of his boys now. It's been awesome. You're an amazing-looking man too, Connor. We appreciate you. Thanks for stopping in. I hope your workday's going good, bud. And while we wrap it up, go Birds.
Go Birds!